The dusty morning sun beat down on the crowded town square, illuminating the anxious faces of those gathered to witness yet another cruel reminder of desperation. The auction block, among the women lined up, her heart pounded violently, a mix of fear, shame, and disbelief. She was only 22, with long curly brown hair cascading over her shoulders, wearing a tattered cream-white dress, its lace, trimmed neckline, and flowing skirt the only remnants of her dignity. Her family's debt had put her here, sold piece by piece like livestock, their laughter and taunts echoing in her ears. The crowd murmured with speculation, some eager to bid for amusement, others to exploit. She tried to hold her head high, though her knees shook and her palms were slick with sweat. And then she saw him, a lone figure on horseback, eyes like tempered steel softened by a hint of compassion. The rancher's presence silenced whispers around him. His reputation for fairness and quiet authority preceded him. He studied her, not with appraisal, but with a gaze that pierced the shell of shame surrounding her. The auctioneer called for bids, voices raised, some mocking, others casual. She heard a clink of coins, a murmur of disbelief, and then, calm yet resolute, the rancher raised his hand. "I'll pay for her freedom," he announced, voice steady, commanding attention. Shock rippled across the square. Murmurs turned to silence. She blinked, unsure she had heard correctly, as the reality of someone willing to redeem her from this nightmare sank in. The rancher's eyes met hers, conveying trust, safety, and promise, unspoken yet profound. The gavel struck, sealing her freedom, and she felt a weight lift from her chest, a new life opening before her. Amid the crowd's astonishment and her own disbelief, she dared a small, hopeful smile, the first in many long months. And as he approached, offering her his hand, the townspeople's whispers faded, replaced by the quiet understanding that today marked a turning point, the beginning of a future shaped by kindness, courage, and the possibility of love. The ride to the ranch was slow, the prairie stretching endlessly, gold and green under the afternoon sun. She sat beside him on the wagon, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, unsure of what to say, yet comforted by his steady presence. The rancher's horse plodded deliberately, and every so often, he glanced her way, softening the tension with a reassuring nod or a quiet word. "You're safe now," he said, voice low, carrying both authority and warmth. Her chest tightened with emotion she could not name. For years her life had been dictated by debt and survival, never by choice, never by hope. And yet here he was, offering freedom without demand, offering trust without expectation. She felt tears prick the corners of her eyes, quickly brushing them away, ashamed yet grateful. As they passed streams and hills, he told her stories of the ranch, its vast pastures, the animals he cared for, and the quiet rhythm of life far from the cruelty of the auction block. She listened intently, absorbing each word, imagining a life she had never dared dream. He handed her a small cloth bundle, a meal for the journey. She accepted it with a shy smile, sensing in every gesture that he viewed her as more than property, more than a transaction. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope. She asked him quietly, "Why me?" He shrugged, though his eyes softened. "Because you deserve it, because no one should be sold for debts that aren't theirs." His words stirred something inside her, a mix of gratitude, relief, and a tentative admiration. Hours passed, the prairie rolling endlessly, until the ranch emerged on the horizon. A sturdy wooden structure surrounded by fields, animals grazing peacefully. Her heart lifted, the fear of the past slowly giving way to the anticipation of a new life. As they approached the gates, the rancher looked at her, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. "Welcome home," he said simply, and for the first time she believed it. Life at the ranch was unlike anything she had ever known. Each day brought a rhythm of chores, fresh air, and the quiet companionship of animals that seemed to sense her gentle nature. She spent mornings feeding horses, afternoons mending fences, and evenings by the fire, learning the ways of the ranch under the rancher's guidance. His presence was constant yet unobtrusive, offering help when needed, yet allowing her space to adjust. She discovered in him a mixture of strength and kindness, a man who worked hard, yet observed her with patience and respect. Occasionally, Their hands brushed as they carried supplies or tended animals, and she felt a flutter in her chest, unfamiliar yet comforting. He did not press her for anything, no favors, no gratitude, only a quiet expectation that she would care for herself as he cared for the ranch. The first night she slept in the small cabin attached to the main house, she felt a strange sense of peace. The memories of the auction block, of taunts and judgment, seemed to melt away in the warmth of the firelight and the gentle hum of the ranch settling into night. He left her to rest, yet a quiet knock on the door made her heart leap. He simply said, "I'll check on you. Sleep well," his voice soft and reassuring. She lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, realizing that her life had changed, irrevocably, yet beautifully. With each passing day, the bond between them grew, a foundation of trust, admiration, and the beginnings of affection. Slowly, she began to believe that she was more than the sum of her family's debts. She was a woman with choice, with a future, and perhaps, one day, with love. Weeks turned into months, and her confidence and happiness grew with every sunrise over the prairie. She learned the rhythms of ranch life, laughing with the rancher over mishaps, sharing quiet moments over dinner, and discovering the joy of companionship and trust. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, they sat together on the porch, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink. "I never thought I'd have a life like this," she whispered, her curls catching the light cream, white dress flowing gently in the breeze. He reached out, brushing a stray curl from her face, eyes soft with warmth. "You deserved it," he said. "You deserve every bit of peace, safety, and happiness you can find here." She leaned into him, allowing herself to feel the intimacy and comfort of the moment. Days of uncertainty, fear, and shame were replaced by laughter, shared dreams, and the steady heartbeat of a life she could finally call her own. The rancher never asked for repayment, never questioned her past, only offered trust and kindness, and gradually, she found herself drawn to him, not only as her rescuer but as a companion, a protector, and a potential partner. Their hands met over a simple wooden railing, fingers intertwining, unspoken promises hanging in the evening air. The prairie, the cabin, and the soft glow of lanterns around them seemed to bless this newfound connection. She smiled, her heart light, finally believing that freedom, safety, and love were not only possible, they were real, tangible, and hers. With the rancher beside her, she dared to imagine a future filled with laughter, partnership, and perhaps the love she had never known. And as the stars emerged one by one over the rolling hills, she whispered a quiet thanks to fate, to the man who had bought her freedom, and to the life that awaited her. One a choice, hope, and endless possibilities. If you were moved by her journey from despair to hope, like and subscribe for more heartwarming Wild West stories of courage, love, and second chances.